David Cameron, former Prime Minister, has announced, or it's been said, that his book is finally coming out in the autumn, we think in mid-September. There it is, David Cameron, For the Record. My question to you all is, starting with Caroline, are you going to read it?
No.
Why not?
I'm just not really very interested in what David Cameron has to say, unless it's just an apology for ruining the country. But it's not going to be. It's For the Record. It's his defence of why what he did wasn't a terrible idea and he, didn't completely destroy everything and then walk off whistling. I'm not interested. And also, everything's moved on so far since he left. What can he possibly have to say of interest?
Peter, what about you? And just show our viewers the picture of David Cameron in his shepherd's hut, where the great work was supposed to have been completed.
Yes, well, I shall, of course, look in the index to see if I'm mentioned.
Of course, every good journalist does that, don't they? Quick, am I in
After
there?
that, I'll flip through to see if there are any other revelations or non-revelations about things that I know about. But actually, political memoirs, especially ones written at such speed, are usually pretty worthless and reveal almost nothing. So, no, I think the chances of me carrying it about for weeks, reading it page by page, are very slender.
Emma, what about you? In terms of David Cameron's legacy and maybe the reasons for why he called the EU referendum in the first place in 2016, is there enough there that you will be compelled to read?
Yeah, that's pretty much the only bit I will be reading, because I'd like to see his reasons for why he put us in this situation. And I also think there'll be quite a lot of potential leadership candidates who'll be interested in how an outside candidate came in and became party leader. So I think he might have a bit more interest from MPs who are gunning for the top job than perhaps anyone on this panel.
Steve, what about you? You did a documentary, a series of radio documentaries on the Cameron years, in fact. What will you be looking for in this book?
Well, I've got a book out on modern prime ministers in September, and there's a chapter on David Cameron, which will be more balanced and shorter than his book, so I recommend that. But I wonder whether he will say, and I doubt if he will, that I got the job far too young when I was a half-formed politician. I'd been Shadow Education Secretary for about 10 days. That wasn't enough for the titanic tasks of leadership, and my strategy of copying Tony Blair in reverse was a shallow one. I doubt if we will hear that, but I think that is the context from which all followed. The bar for leadership now is very low, and he wasn't ready, and it showed in all kinds of manifestations subsequently. But I suspect that won't be the essence of his book.
Surely it was copying Tony Blair full stop, not in reverse. There was no reverse about it, and that's what he sought to do.
Well, I think there was a reverse in the sense that at the beginning, where they saw their weaknesses on being the so-called nasty party, he tried to be different. But by the time of the financial crash, he became Thatcherite in economic policy. I know he didn't in the social areas that worry you, Peter, but he did economically switch back. And that was one of the sort of weaknesses, I think, that he didn't even stick to the sort of Blairite in reverse strategy.
Will you read it, though?
Yes.
Right.